Hello, my friends. Today we're learning Mציעא, Daf Kuf Yotes. It's the last Daf in Mציעא. It's a very exciting moment to finish the whole Masechta. That's quite a long Masechta with lots of interesting sugyas, some of them difficult, some of them easy, and a lot of them are very relevant to today. So before we start, I want to say thank you to Hashem, the schus to able to finish Mציעא and to give a share every day and to keep going, even though that's difficult at times. I'm very, very grateful to Hashem for this moment. Also, I'd like to say thank you for my darling, special, beautiful wife, Yuval Chana, who supports me and pushes me and always tells me to continue. At one stage, I was giving up and she told me, no, you have to continue. You started. And I'm very, very grateful for her in general, and especially for pushing me in this learning the Gemara and giving a shiur. And lastly, to my father, my darling father, Avi Murray, for learning with me nearly every day and supporting me in understanding the Gemara and preparing. And when I was behind, he learned with me one day 5 daf, just to get me back on time. And I'm very, very grateful to him. So now we're going to start from Kuf Yud Ches Amud Beis from the Mishnah. Shnei ginois zu al gabe zu. So you have here two properties, two pieces of land, and in between them there's like a type of wall that separates between them. So one is on a lower stage and one the higher stage, and one in between there's like a type of wall. So you have two ginois zu al gabe zu. Vayerek ben a time, and there's vegetables growing, garlic or onions or any other type of vegetable that's growing on that wall between the two gardens. So it belongs to the property on top. All what grows on that slope belongs to the person at the top. And all belongs to the person on the bottom property, on the bottom land. Omar Rav Meir told Rabbi Yehuda, if the person on the top garden he'll dig out all his garden and take away all the earth, so there won't be any difference in height between the two gardens, and there'll be no vegetables growing, so therefore it should go to him. Omar Rabbi Yehuda, so Rabbi Yehuda said, no. If the guy on the lower property will fill up his garden full of earth, so there won't be the difference in height anymore, and there will be no place for the yerek to grow. So therefore it should all go to the tachtoin. So Omar Rameya, is because they both could cancel, that there won't be vegetables growing. This one could take away all his earth, and the other one could fill up his earth. So what do? We see where the source, where is it getting koyach from? Is it coming from the field upstairs and then it goes to him, or is it going from the field at the bottom and then it goes to him? Omar Rab Shimon holds like Rameya, that really should all go to the top. But Rab Shimon says here a type of like something in between. It says anything that the person on his property at the top could just bend over at the edge of his property where this wall is and pick the vegetables belong to him. Vashar, all the things that he can't get to from his own property, that's the only way to get it is to go in the lower property. Shultachto, and it belongs to the person in the lower property. And the reason is because the person at the top is mafkirit, because it's too big for him to go ask permission from the person downstairs to go into his field to collect these vegetables. Omar Rava, says Rava, Beikaroi, in the roots of the vegetables that go in the ground, no one argues, the Elyon Havi, that belongs to the person at the property at the top, because it grows from him, it grows type of in his land. Ki pligi, what's a machloikes benoifoi, what comes out from the ground into the air. Rameya holds shodi noifa basa yukari. Put what grows out the ground goes together with what's in the ground, and what's in the ground everyone agrees that goes to the person on top, and therefore it belongs to the person on the top. Rabbi Yehuda no, you don't say it. It's things separate. What's in the ground belongs to the person at the top, and what grows out belongs to the person at the bottom. Now, it says here, V'azdu l'tamayu. Don't normally gurus when it's in a round bracket, but it fits in. And we're going to see that the same machloek is like in a different place. The Tanya that we learned in the Brisa. It's talking about someone who bought a tree. Reuven bought a tree in Shimon's field. So only the tree belongs to Reuven and the field belongs to Shimon. And now we're going to go like the Bach. And it says, Ilon hayotzim min hageza. Now he has this tree, and from this tree, from the roots, comes out another tree. He has an olive tree, and from the roots of the olive tree started to grow another olive tree. Sorry, Megeza means the trunk. Umin hashiroshim. And from the roots that are in the ground grew another tree. Aryeh elu shel ba'al karka divrei hamea. This new tree that grows doesn't belong to the person who bought the tree to Reuven. It belongs to Shimon, who owned the land. It's a new tree, nothing to do with the first tree, and it belongs to Shimon. And Rashi explains that Geza is what the sun can see, and Shiroshim is what's under the ground. Rabbi Yehuda says, Mina Geza, what grows from the trunk, Shebala Ilon, it belongs to the person who owns the tree, because it's not considered a new tree, it's considered part of the old tree. Mina Shiroshim, but what comes out the roots, Shebala Karka, he agrees to Rameh that you go after, it belongs to the person who owns the land, to Shimon. So we can see it's the same machlokes. Do we say everyone agrees that from the Shiroshim belongs to the Bala Karka? The question is, if when it grows from the trunk, do you say that you go after Yikoroi? That's what Rameh holds. And Rabbi says, no, you don't go after Yikoroi. And we go over here, Lefi the Gillian, Betanya Nami Gabriel Orlo. We're learned in the Brisa of our Orlo. The din of Orlo is that the first 3 years of a tree, you're not allowed to enjoy the fruit. A similar thing, a tree that comes out from the trunk, or from the roots, it's a new tree, and you have to count a new 3 years before you can eat the fruit from that part. Rabbi Yehuda depends. Mina Geza, if it's coming out of the trunk, potter, because it's not a new tree, it's part of the old tree, and this old tree has been here for 20 years, so there's no din arla. But Mina Shiroshim, what comes out from the roots, Chayev, you need to count a new 3 years because it's considered a new tree. Tzedek Moravitz Shrichi, and we need both Machloikes in L'chora. Why do we have the same Machloikes or Rabbi Yehuda also by Orla? And also by the case of the guy who owns the tree in someone else's field, the same machloikes. So the Gemara, you need both machloikes. Why? If you're only going to tell me the machloikes about when someone owns a tree in someone else's field, you could say, only there Rabbi Yehuda said that what grows out of the trunk belongs to the tree. Because it's a din of mominus of who owns what. But when it comes to Isurim of Arlo, the Isura that's Isurim, maybe we have to be machmi like Ramea and we go after the roots, even though that's coming out the trunk, and Rabbi Yehuda will be moida that by Arlo you need to count a new 3 years. So we understand why we need to say Arlo. So like more if we will only say the machloikas about Arlo, but Ramea. You might have thought here Ramea says what comes out the trunk, you have to count a new 3 years. Aval Bahib, in the case of the monistic case where you own the tree in someone else's field, maybe he agrees to Rabbi Yehuda that what grows out of the trunk belongs to the tree owner, not to the landowner. That's why we need the Machloikas Rameh and Rabbi Yehuda by both cases. Rab Shimon says, Kol Omer Rab Shimon, Kol Sha'elin Yochol Lifshoy. So he says like a type of a middle thing, the one at the top could get to with his own hands without going into the person at the bottom's field goes to him, and all the rest belongs to the person at the bottom. Omer Amri de Berav said, Uvad Shelo Yenas. That means there's different ways of how to get to this wall in between the properties. So you could just stretch and get to the where you could get to. That's okay, but you're not allowed to yenas. You can't force yourself extra to get as far as you could down this wall to pick up. Only where you could get easily, that belongs to the person at the top, and all the rest belongs to the person at the bottom. Or Rav Anon, or an Anon asked the kasha, a shaila, ve'itim, or Rav Yirmiyah, some people say Rav Yirmiyah asked the shaila, what's the din if the person at the top, Magiel Noifoi, he get to what's growing outside the ground, but he can't get to the roots because it's growing, the roots are lower and the what's growing out is growing up higher. Does it belong to the person at the top or to the bottom? Or opposite case, if you get to the roots, let's say this vegetable is growing slanty downwards, that's in the ground, it's in a higher place, but when it comes out into the air, it's a lower place, and he could only get to the roots, and he can't get to what comes out in the air. Who does it belong to the person on the top or the person on the bottom? Says like Gemara, Teiku, Tishbi, Etaret, Kushis, Viboyes, when Eliyahu Novi comes, maybe he's here already, he's going to tell us all our shailas and poisik, all our shailas. I'm not going to finish until the end, because I'm going to leave it Be'ez Hashem for the film that I'm going to make, and I'll leave it here. But I just want to start, as we're finishing, just to start the first case in Baba Basra. The first Mishnah Baba Basra is discussing a case that two shutfim, two partners, have a chotza, and they want to build a wall in between to separate the chotza into two. So the Mishnah says that you build the wall in the middle, and each one has to give half of the width of the wall from his part of his property that he owns. Then the Mishnah discusses what type, if it's a thicker wall, each one has to give more, obviously. If it's a thinner wall, each one has to give less. I want to pray to Hashem that we should be choiz on all this Gemara. I should remember the Gemara. I should be mekayim the Gemara and all the halachas and all what comes out of the Gemara, and I should be zoiche to continue and to finish lots of more masechtas and to remember them and have lots of siyata dishmaya in my learning. I'm going to just do a small lechaim for the celebration of finishing a masechta, even though I didn't actually finish it, but I feel like celebrating it. Thank you, Hashem, for being matzliach to get to this day and to finish this masechta. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'akol niya bidvaro. Thank you, everyone. See you soon in Baba Basra.